Greetings, my friend, and today I'm going to be discussing why doing 2 work sets per exercise may be that proverbial sweet spot for you to get the absolute best bang for your buck in your workouts. So welcome back to my YouTube channel, my friend. I'm Matt Schifferly with another video to help you be fit and live free. And today we're taking a refreshing look at an old training method that I used for many years back called the 2-set strategy. And the 2-set strategy works like this. Basically, you have your basic muscle group with an exercise or a tension chain, let's say close push-ups for your push chain, chest, shoulders, and triceps. And you limit yourself to 2 work sets. That doesn't include the warm-up stuff if you want to do some easier push-ups or a couple isometrics band work to warm up and stuff. But when it comes time to really get serious about your training, you get 2 hard work sets and that's it. But you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to just that exercise. You could say, but I want to still hit my chest more and my triceps and everything. It's like, yeah, you certainly can. You just have to now use a different exercise. We can go with dips, we could do with pike push-ups, overhead presses, chest flies, tricep extensions, lots of different options in the gym, right? But the idea is every single one, you're still limiting yourself to 2 hard work sets. Now, before I jump into why this can be so beneficial, I want to make it very clear that I'm in no way, in shape and form advocating that this is the optimal, best, absolute, uber, one true correct way you should be strength training, because there is no one correct way. As I talk about in my book on adaptive training, there's lots of different variables that you should be adjusting on a regular basis in order to train in the best way for you and your given circumstances. So sometimes that's going to be a lot more volume, sometimes it's going to be a lot less volume, sometimes it's going to be 1 exercise, sometimes it might be 5 exercises. You don't ever want to limit yourself to one particular approach with your training. But it is good to have several reliable tools in your back pocket that you can use most of the time as a good way to just make sure you're getting what you want, and that's what the 2-set strategy may potentially be for you. So the 2-set strategy works for several reasons. The first of which is that it gives you a little bit of a pressure cooker effect. As I discussed in a previous video, when we've got the ability to just do endless volume, or especially if you're chasing after volume, like I want to do a bazillion push-ups every day, volume and intensity are always on that teeter-totter between the two of each other. So if volume is something you seek after to a very high degree, or you're allowed to seek it, then intensity just naturally dilutes. It just waters down your program. But if you've got a limitation of 2 sets and that's all you get, now you're like, I had better kick this thing right in the teeth. I've really got to dial in my technique. I've really got to push myself, because you only have not 2 sets, but 2 chances of making it happen. And if you're not willing to dig that deep for it, well, it probably wouldn't happen no matter how many sets you got. But the real reason why 2-set training can work for you is because it's not so much about asking what's most effective, because I know a lot of people are like, is 2 sets really effective? What does the science say? What does the research say? The fact is, that's kind of almost a fool's errand question, because ultimately your success does not come from the most effective habits. It comes from the most worthwhile habits. As I also discussed in another one of my books, Be Fit, Live Free, we humans are fundamentally emotional creatures. Our motivation, how we feel about what we're doing, is one of the sole determiners on whether or not you're going to keep taking consistent action with efficiency and effectiveness. And if your motivation starts to dry up, you're pretty much SOL regardless of any other variables. And our motivation comes from maintaining a healthy, emotional balance sheet. Our subconscious is always evaluating what are the perceived costs of our habits that we're engaging in on body, mind, and lifestyle, and what are the perceived benefits. And if the perceived costs are really high and the benefits really aren't there very much, you have no chance of maintaining those habits. Your subconscious will force you to stop sooner or later. You can force yourself for short periods of time. You can just do it and be disciplined and all that sort of thing, but it will be a short-term thing. Unless you can get that balance sheet where the perceived costs are lower and the benefits are higher, you will fail. So 2-set training is all about maintaining intensity, but also motivation. And it does so several ways. The first is recognizing that for every set and rep and workout that you do, there's an exponential increase in cost to body, mind, and lifestyle. It takes more stress on your joints, it takes more energy out of your body, it takes more fatigue in your nervous system, it eats up more of your time, it eats up more of your energy that you have for focus and concentration. Basically, every set that you're doing is costing you more, and those costs go up with every extra set and workout that you're doing. Now, the benefits of your training isn't necessarily diminishing rate of return right off the bat. You probably have noticed that if you've got a little bit of a warm-up in you and stuff, you get one set and you're like, okay, I got something out of that, like muscles really fired up, nervous system's going good, I'm getting my technique. And then on maybe the next set, you're like, oh, that was even better than the first one. I can really focus now. I'm really feeling the muscle engage. I'm really using better technique. I may have even PR'd on that sort of thing. So there's a ramp up period that you will experience, and then maybe a bit of a plateau depending on how much you're pushing. And eventually, yes, you get that proverbial diminishing rate of return where every set that you're doing is creating less of an effective stimulus than the one before it. And again, I want to reiterate that yes, you will have a more powerful stimulus and get more out of your exercise by putting in more work. But remember, we're not looking at what's most effective. We're looking at what's most worthwhile, because that's far more important. So what we're trying to do is find that sweet spot to where am I putting in a minimal amount of work, but getting the most benefit out of it. And that's generally around the 2-set mark for each exercise. Of course, use an adaptive strategy. You may find that some exercises, for whatever reason, will hit that sweet spot after 3 sets, or maybe even 4 sets. But remember that you're also allowing yourself to get more exercises in rather than just 1 or 2. And that creates a broader stimulus. If you have more of a way that you're using your body, let's say we get heavy weighted dips, 2 sets, and then we get something like archer push-ups for 2 sets. Now we're changing it up the angle, we're changing up the speed, we're changing up the rep range, we're changing from bilateral to unilateral. The more variables you can change from one exercise to the next while still involving the same basic tension chain or muscle group, the more of a broader stimulus, the more you're going to get out of your workout, rather than if you just did 1,000,000 push-ups and created the same redundant stimulus over and over, which greatly increases your cost, but has that diminishing rate of return working against you. But don't overthink this. It's 2 working sets per exercise, and just adapt again to whatever energy and time constraints that you have in order to achieve the fundamental stimulus for building muscle strength or endurance that you're after. Don't forget to check out my books on adaptive training and Be Fit, Live Free. Link is down below. Love to hear your thoughts on these ideas, and if you've implemented it in your workouts this week, thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.